My father had enough of his daughters ignoring him. "Just get them married," he told my mother. "I've been raised to believe the only way out of my father's house is getting married. The only way out is to marry a stranger and hope for the best. Then I can go out, travel, and dress whatever I like. That is, if I got lucky with the coin flip." Unfortunately for my father, all 4 of us weren't interested in marriage. But that didn't prevent my mother and my older sister from trying. They were saying yes to mothers asking to see us for their sons. That's usually the first step to marriage in Saudi Arabia. The guy describes the features he wants in his future wife, then his mother goes looking for the best girl she finds for her son. Saudi men are clueless about how women in the society looks like aside from their mothers and sisters. They usually just describe what they see in TV commercials. The beauty standards in these commercials are long silky hair, white skin, tall and slim bodies with some curves. Some guys trust the choice and preferences of their mothers, which isn't very different from these commercials, but they try their best to find the closest match. My sisters and I were expected to go and greet the visitors, knowing fully we would be judged and evaluated from the first look. Expectedly, we were locking our rooms until they were gone. These mothers are here to stare at our faces and bodies. The thought of that is disgusting and disturbing. For my mother, we were embarrassing her and the family by doing so. One day, my older sister had a plan in place. She managed to take the keys of my room while the visitor was there and lock me and one of my sisters inside the room. The visitor came in and we were forced to shake her hand. I noticed her eyes immediately shifted to my burn scar in my right hand, one of my biggest insecurities. My hair was so messy, but I thought, good, I don't have your beauty standards and I like it. The girl was looking for a wife for her brother. I still remember her saying, I was like them, not wanting anyone to see me, and I was forced to it. Now look at me, married, and I'm fine with it. I thought how sad it is that she had to convince herself that it was okay so she can get over it. At that point of my life, I wasn't necessarily miserable. I was the most successful in my family. I didn't need any money from my father since I started university. I had a well-paying job and I was driving my own car. I had a life many Saudi girls wish to have. I just had to deal with not being able to express my beliefs to the public, not even to my closest friends. I had to live with being a hypocrite for my own safety. And I also had to live with the creatures I'm supposed to call a family. I wasn't happy, but I wasn't miserable. I was always against long-distance relationships. I still am. For me, it's like, what's the point of dating online when the chance of meeting is almost impossible? Realizing that will bring more sorrow than joy in the relationship. That, however, couldn't keep me away from developing feelings to someone. Someone whose notification alone makes me smile. We used to text every single day and we did it a lot. The reality of the situation still remains. I'm stuck here and there is no way to tell if I can ever get out. I noticed he had changed. For a couple of weeks he wasn't as active as he would normally be, and he didn't seem interested in the conversations anymore. He finally admitted what I feared the most at the time. He met a girl and they started dating online. She was of a Muslim background too, but at least she was in a reachable country. The news broke me. I had a nervous breakdown. I started to think about all the stuff I can't have or keep because I was born in this place. It was at that moment that I had enough. I was tired of stalling any longer. I decided I'm leaving in 3 months maximum. 3 long months that at the same time felt so short. I introduced the idea to my sister, whom I knew she wanted to leave just as much. And so I started planning. For fleeing to work, it has to be perfectly executed. Anything goes wrong and it's over. We are screwed. I still can't tell what was going to happen if at any point the plan goes wrong. I can only guess. The punishment can range from just taking away internet access and beating, to leaving us in one of the female juvenile detention centers, locked in and unheard of, slowly dying from inside. There was a huge problem I had to deal with to ensure no one gets suspicious in the process. My parents, especially my mother, knew the usual times I go and come back home from work. That's because the living room is in the middle of the house and there is no other way to get to my room. My mother at that time was sleeping on the couch because she was avoiding getting pregnant. Even when she was sleeping, it felt like she is watching. I remember one time I went to get chips near her. I was watching her eyes the whole time and she seemed asleep. But then I heard, "Didn't you take one of these already?" I was creeped out. She is watching all the time. With that in mind, it was almost impossible to go anywhere without my mother getting suspicious if it wasn't within my working hours. Let alone my sister, who's coming with me, was off college, so she's home all the time. I had no clear idea how to deal with that, but then an opportunity emerged. My father somehow was still paying for the land of the house we were living in. Thus, the land wasn't registered with his name. The owner was losing patience. Maybe my father shouldn't have married a second wife and paid his debt instead, but that's another story. My father had to either put the house for sale or sign a contract with a person working for the government to ensure the money is delivered monthly. My father said he would pay monthly and wouldn't let them withdraw anything from my salary. Signing this kind of contract didn't seem comfortable to me, but I needed to use it for my advantage. I said, "Okay, but I get one of the apartments upstairs." My father found it humiliating that I was asking for something in return, and my mother expressed how she felt too. She told me I was getting cocky and how I forgot that my father enabled me to become who I am now. Perhaps she was talking about him allowing me to study nursing. My father hesitated at first and thought about asking his sister, who was also working for the government. He ended up agreeing to my condition, but with another condition. I had to pay him a rent. 26,000 reals for 2 years of rent. I thought how unfair it is that the apartments were to be given for free to my brothers when they get married. Since I don't have a penis, I have to pay for it. But again, I'm leaving, so why do I care? I agreed and got the key. The apartment had 3 bedrooms. 2 of my sisters moved upstairs, including the one escaping with me. It had no air conditioners, which would be a problem in summer, but at that time it was winter. It had 1 radiator, but we left it in the living room for the kittens. My father's second wife was living next door. It could have been a problem, but it was manageable. Now that I can go outside without being noticed, it was time to start the real planning in my new room. Sometime in the past, I managed to deceive my father into believing I needed a passport to apply for the job, and I got one. My sister, however, still didn't have one. Luckily, women now are allowed to get a passport without a male guardian simply by ordering it online with home delivery option. Pretty cool, isn't it? My other two sisters noticed we were ordering a passport and wanted theirs. I didn't mind getting them passports along. It's a basic human right everyone should have the access to after all. Sadly, there isn't an option for an electronic visa waiver in Saudi Arabia yet. That would have made it a lot easier for me. Instead, my option was to book an appointment to the nearest unified visa application center, which was in Hura for me. I was still working, so I had to do it in one of my off days. On the day of the appointment, my sister and I had to take the train for the first time in our life. We had little idea how things work. Thankfully, the booking was available online. We didn't even need to print the tickets, but we did it anyways. We both had a folder with all the documents for train and the visa appointment, but out of all we only needed like 2 papers. Better safe than sorry. At the train station, I noticed one of my co-workers. I was nervous, hoping she wouldn't notice me under my abaya and niqab. Lucky for me, we ended up in the same train compartment as well. I don't think she noticed me though. The train was a new experience, but it went well, I'd say. My sister didn't feel the same way. We reached Dammam and ordered an Uber ride to the center in Khobar. It wasn't very far, just about 20 minutes ride. At the center, my sister told me there is no way she is going back in that train. I asked her, how are we gonna go back home then? She replied, I don't care, I just don't want the train. Go without me if you want. I was bothered how she was okay with screwing up the plan we had just because the train was inconvenient for her. On the other hand, the appointment went very well. I was surprised how smooth and quick it was. I was overthinking how it would go, especially after reading bad reviews about the center online. With the appointment out of the way, it was time to figure out a way to get us back home without the train. I ordered an Uber ride in hope someone is willing to take that distance in a ride. The driver arrived and said the app didn't show the distance to him, so he had no idea it was to another city. He sat there for a few seconds thinking if he wants to visit his mother in our city now instead of weekend. He decided he would do it. Lucky us. He dropped us at the train station where my car was parked and we went back home. The passports were shipped to a delivery office and we went and picked them up. It only took 2 weeks from the appointment to get the visas. Pretty impressive. I was worried it would take more than a month from some reviews I read online. Visa was acquired and I finally could book my flight. The flight date was just a few days after my 1-month break had started. That makes it so work isn't a problem anymore, but my family will think I'm still working if they notice my car is missing. That also makes it so my family don't have to deal with work trying to contact me and me escaping at the same time. I couldn't just resign because of the threat my family knowing and questioning me. My father's second wife was no longer a problem. She delivered her baby and went to live with her mother for aid. That also removed the threat of my father going upstairs every other day to visit her, which was the case before her delivery. One day downstairs with my mother and one day upstairs with her. That was the deal my father made with his wives. I transferred the money I was storing throughout the months to a trusted friend just in case my father had the access to freeze my bank accounts. The luggages I kept in the trunk of my car all the time and occasionally packed them close while parking my car far from home. I couldn't risk anyone of my family seeing the luggages. One day before the flight, I went with my 3 sisters to buy grocery as per usual. After grocery, I took them to a small store to buy gifts for my niece and nephew because I didn't gift them anything for their last birthday. I also bought gifts for my 2 young sisters. On the flight day, my sister and I made sure we are ready to go hours before we had to leave home. That, however, gave us plenty of time to overthink and have anxiety. We know anything goes wrong and we are back to square one with little to no hope of escaping. I kept telling myself that stressing out is normal, but I have to focus in order for the plan to work out. My other sister was sleeping after waking up all night as I planned. We left home and thankfully no one was outside to notice us leaving. I parked my car in the train station parking lot and we arranged the luggages for the last time. I left my car parked with the keys inside, including our room's keys, which we kept locked. That was in hope it would buy us time if someone found out we went missing. I was worried my sister won't be able to handle the train like what happened last time. That didn't happen, luckily. We got changed to the modern abayas we bought and left the old abayas and niqabs on some chair. Then we left to the airport.